trying to get back on our feet. And when you have a major hurricane, it's not something that just is done in 6 weeks. I mean, there's things you do immediately, of course, but there's a longer term rebuild that happens. And so to have something that was even bigger than those two storms cause a lot of damage, I think it is a sense of trauma for the community. I think there's a demoralization, because it's like, okay, we worked all this, and then now we could potentially be worse off than we were even before Idalia. So we're mindful of that, and as I said, we're gonna have support there. It's not going to be easy, but we'll get through it. Really unfortunate the way the track went, from the sense of these communities that have been impacted. Now, the track as it was a little bit, maybe 36 hours ago, had it a little bit west of Tallahassee, that would have been more damage in the capital. I mean, here in the EOC, we had very little, relatively speaking, compared to what I think people were thinking about 24 hours ago. So that's just the way these things go, and this thing went in a direction where it went through a path that had already been trodden with hurricanes. It caused damage in the past, and now this is causing even more damage. So it's tough.
Is the state doing anything differently now to prepare for storms, since this area has been hit 3 times in a row?
Well, I think every time, so our preparations are always, I think that they've improved every time. I think we've had great prep. I think people have acknowledged that. But everything we've done is like, okay, we had a storm. What can you do going forward? I mean, for example, these flood protection devices, you had those in places, like Live Oak, that the downtown always floods, right? So they're like, yeah, the exact same thing happened, 40 years ago, same thing. So they put these devices around the buildings, and the reports are that it was effective. So you learn from some of these things. So yes, there was assets that were available. What about the Taylor? I think they use some of the stuff as well. So yeah, I mean, I think you're seeing that. You want to add to that?
To the question about do we get better? We strive to learn something from every single disaster that we have, and get better at it. I want to applaud the governor. When I came on as the deputy director for him, and then on to be the director, he was like, Kevin, we've got to make sure that we're increasing our capability and our capacity. We need to make smart decisions. We made in purchasing equipment versus renting and leasing equipment. If it's more cost effective to buy it, we buy it. And through this governor, there have been gains at the Florida National Guard, the Florida Department of Transportation, Florida Fish and Wildlife, Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Just about every public safety, front-facing public safety or infrastructure agency has noticed gains from us getting better at what we do. And that's forward thinking. I mean, that to be able to have a governor that leads in that direction, that's forward thinking. So out of this, we will certainly have conversations about, okay, can we be better? Can we be faster to the mission right after the disaster, right in those 2-3 hours after it? Did we effectively respond? Yes, we effectively respond. Can we cut that down to 90 minutes? Can we cut it down to 60 minutes? We're going to be challenging ourselves. All the agency heads have already taught this morning, especially on the public safety side, of how do we get faster? How do we get better at getting those things done? And we'll continue to do that.
So we are going to, of course, continue with the rescue and recovery efforts throughout today. We're also going to be in a position to get a better assessment of the damage that has been left in the wake of this storm. I know that Kevin and his team, as well as Jared, they're working to make sure that there's access for folks to go help down in the areas that were right there, kind of the impact zone of ground zero. We're going to be out in the field surveying some of the damage ourselves in various parts of the state. So this was a large storm in terms of how big it was. Obviously, when you have 140 mile an hour winds, that's very significant. Generated a lot of surge in different parts of the state. I think that's going to subside today, but it's obviously left a lot of damage. It's necessitated a lot of rescue efforts. Those rescue efforts have been successful. We thank everybody who has been involved in that. And, of course, we're going to continue working to make sure that the utilities have what they need to be able to get in and have a strong power restoration. And those efforts are very important as well. Thanks.